Right, I think we must start. So,
Great.
hopefully you have your coffee. Let's get ready. If you want to take some notes, take notes, and let's start. So, moving on to our first slide. So, stats show crazy during lockdown. I'd like to discuss what this means. Ursula, can you give us an idea of what stats you're referring to and what form the craziness has taken?
Yes, well, more people are at home than ever before, probably in history of, well, any of our lifetimes, I would imagine. So, I mean, already there were so many millions and millions of people that are on social media, and the majority of them on their cell phones, which is always nice for salons to know as well, so that when clients come into the salon, they are usually scrolling through their phones. So it's really good to have a great media presence. But every article that I've looked at, they said they just cannot believe how much it has skyrocketed so much now. And we're amongst the top, I think within the top 5 countries that have excelled so much, along with places like the Philippines and Brazil. We're amongst that sort of group of countries that is just skyrocketing at the moment. So it's definitely the place to be, and I think that South Africans are great communicators, and we're learning to be better communicators. And it's taking us out of our comfort zones, I feel, a bit, because not everybody likes to be in front of the camera or likes to show who they are, but this is all part of the new world, that we need to be authentic and show our real selves, whether that be with makeup or without makeup. You
Yes,
know what I'm saying? So,
big trend
yeah,
even before coronavirus and lockdown, which
yeah.
is, I don't know about anyone else, but now when I do my laundry, it's like 8 tops and 1 pair of tracksuit pants, and that's what goes into the washing machine.
That sounds about right.
But
Yeah.
so now with this increased activity on social media, I think it's very, very positive, and it's hugely filled with potential. But there are also areas where people now need to avoid traps, and that's also one of the things that I think we must now maybe just touch on, just to see what the next slide is. Yes, this one. What message are you sending to colleagues and clients? And I think with increased familiarity in interacting on social media comes a little bit of a forgetting that it's not your private journal. And sometimes you end up sharing things that are inappropriate and that just don't help you with regard to your business or your public image or where you want to be. And can we talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so a very good example, I would say, is the Hairstylist South Africa group, which started towards the end of last year and started off really small. And I've always wanted to showcase South African hairstyling talent to consumers. So the audience on that group is a balance of stylists, owners, brands, and a lot of consumers. I don't know what the split is, but there's definitely both. And the idea was that this is where you can take photographs in your salon, upload that, and showcase to people just what a fantastic talent South Africa does have. But since the virus came out, it's jumped from January of being, say, 1,500 people on that group to over 4,000 now, just like in the last 7 weeks or so since the lockdown. So a lot of the conversation obviously has been about the coronavirus and the effect it's had on our industry, because we are one of those unfortunate industries that has been affected with the level 1 lockdown. So I understand it must be very difficult. I mean, it's affected my business. I can only imagine people who have staff and how it's affecting them and their families, and if salons are going to survive or not, because we don't have a timeline. So a lot of that comes out, and it's obviously fearful talk, which is understandable because fear is of the unknown. We don't know. But when you're putting your voice out there, and just be careful if your staff are watching, or if there's consumers that are watching, they want to know, they've trusted stylists, consumers have trusted stylists for so many years, as to be able to tell them anything. They've got such a bond, like nobody else. You don't have a bond like that with anybody else. So they understand, the consumers understand you're in a very, very tight spot. But and I know it's hard to not want to retaliate and that kind of thing, but maybe I think on some other groups, if you want to do that, I don't mind so much, but I prefer to try and keep mine a little bit more positive. I do like to keep a bit of the news that's going on because it's changing day by day, and particularly now in our industry with people that are going to court or doing all sorts of other things. So it's exciting that there's people that are passionate. So we don't want to lose the passion, but we just want to try and look forward to whatever way that is and look in that direction. So one of the things we can do during that time is, sometimes you need to focus on something else. And I've found that quite difficult because you sometimes want to just crawl into a little ball some mornings when you wake up and go like, I don't want to face this because everything feels so surreal.
Yes.
But if we maybe make a plan now, I mean, we thought it was going to be 2 weeks, and the fact that we're sitting on, I think it's week 7 or whatever, and we don't know how much longer, it's such a good time to think about your business, whether it's going to think about all the scenarios that could come from it. So if you go back to how you were, you know that you're going to have PPE, how that's going to look, where are you going to start sourcing, where are you going to buy those from, and how that is going to look. We've also shared some of the videos of some people that have done that in the salons. And then teach yourself other things that everybody's always wanted time to learn. And one of the things that's never going to go away, as we say, is social media. So if you've always struggled a little bit here, you know a bit about Facebook, or you know a little bit about Instagram, and you know a little bit about, or you're nervous to touch them because you don't know what they stand for or anything like that, now is a great time to focus on those and maybe set aside different ones. All right, this week or these few days, I'm going to learn everything I need to know about Facebook. And one of the things that people need to remember when they're starting or when they're re-looking at these media platforms is to understand who your client is. So that is how you know how you're moving forward. Some people, we might not know what the future clients are going to look like. The best we can do is look at the scenarios that are coming. So if this is what's going to happen, these are the kind of people that I will be targeting.
Yes.
If plan B has to fall into place, these are the type of people I'm going to have to focus on. And Facebook offers so many different options to reach those people. In fact, if you read through everything that Facebook has to offer, it will prompt so many other ideas for promotions and how to reach people and how to boost posts and things like that. I do talk a bit about that in some of the classes that I've done, and I've got some paperwork, like a printout of the Facebook demographics and interests and behaviors of people, and that helps to guide people a lot. One of the other things is I also have a download of what I call the client avatar. It's like a questionnaire, like who is your ideal client? So answer some certain questions and then put together like what the person is like. So it's a female, she's this age, this is her name, give her a name. She lives in this area. Go for your exact target market. She loves brands like XYZ. She has her hair done religiously every 4 to 6 weeks, so that you know her. All the other consumers that you worried about not reaching, you will reach anyway, because you can't focus on everybody. You will not get what you need out of it. It's better to have, for example, 10 of your exact clients than to have 100 of people that are not really going to be clients. So, and then maybe focus on Facebook. And I really want to help. And one of the things that I want to do, I hope this is the time that I can say this now, JC, is that I'm creating a series of videos that will go through how to do these things. So this is my Facebook page at the moment. How do I up it? How do I change it? And I want to show some on-screen demos of how that looks and where to click, because people are not everybody's tech savvy, but it's just a way of life that is going to have to be. So I'm going to focus on Facebook and then Instagram. And somebody actually, I don't know if Mandy's watching, but she actually asked me the other day if somebody could teach me in half an hour how to even use Canva, which is a fantastic platform to do artwork. And it's got great templates for all social media, for all sorts of documents, for emails, all sorts of things. So, you know, that's the kind of thing that we'll showcase there. And the same with Instagram. She said, you know, in Instagram stories, for example, how do they put those beautiful little squiggles on the stories and the little swipe ups? And
I don't want to race ahead too much because that's in a future.
yes.
So I just wanted to quickly touch on the comments that are on this slide before we move on to the next one, where we can then chat a little bit more about those awesome things.
Okay.
First one is I want to talk, and we all have down moments, but I think we must all remember the 10-100 principle of negativity, which is something I made up, and but I do think it's very true. And what it is that if you post something negative on Facebook, you are going to get attention. You're going to get maybe 10 people responding, and you're going to feel validated and that you were right to moan. But for the 10 people that respond, there are 100 people looking. They aren't responding, but they're being negatively impacted by what you have said. Your negativity is impacting upon them at a time when people are overloaded with it. So it isn't worth it. If you need to have that moan, pick up the phone, phone a friend, moan to your partner, moan to your cat, but don't moan on social media. And then the other thing I think that everyone really needs to remember, and this is especially important, is what are you a specialist in? Because as I've said before, there's suddenly an awful lot of politicians and virologists on Facebook, an incredible amount. And if it's not your area of expertise, it's really better not to comment or to try to comment positively. Or if you want to share of genuine interest, ensure that it is not fake news, remembering that even some news articles are only opinions. They can be a translation of the facts and not necessarily the die-hard facts. So this is why I think people need to refine their centers on social media and get back to where your passion is and your expertise is, because that is what people are so hungry for and what they are craving now. There's an overload of all the other things. And then just one final thing. Although we are all so eager to restart the industry again, don't belittle the impact of the virus, because it hasn't hit here yet. And if you belittle it, you may find that down the line, your clients are negatively impacted because they're sitting with a very sick relative or they're suffering from it. And memories are long. You might remember what you've said and it might come back. So we have to respect the situation that we find ourselves in, and the fact that we are in an unprecedented global emergency. So I'm just going to move on here. Now we're going to talk about a little more about the innovations. So Ursula, please can you elaborate on the innovations, and let's chat about that.
Okay, yes. So I did mention quite a few things, but I think that before lockdown, the big talk was that people were kind of moving away from Facebook and they were focusing on Instagram, and that the new platforms, as in LinkedIn, because now it's got a news feed and you can advertise and you can reach more business people. People are talking a lot about that, as well as TikTok, which are two totally different platforms altogether. And although TikTok might seem like a very young platform, it's not going to be very long before those people will become clients. So not to dismiss it, but to maybe work out a good way that you can start just building slowly what to do there. So I'll elaborate more on that in a video as well. I'm very lucky that I have a 20-year-old daughter who knows all these things. So she helps me a lot with all of that. One of the other things is YouTube has changed a lot of what the way they were doing things, as in they now offer a live platform. You couldn't go live before on YouTube. You shot your own video and then you uploaded that. So that's something to think about. And there's also some other changes that they've made. So YouTube is still probably the biggest platform in the world. Facebook, people must never underestimate it. Even though people think it's dying because it's oversaturated, it's just changed because they changed the algorithms 2 years ago so that business pages aren't so in people's faces. And the reason for that is that Mark Zuckerberg says he wants people to go back to be more sociable with each other. So if you've got a business page with 200 people or 2,000 people on there, there's a good chance that only between 2 and 4% of your audience will ever get to see your posts, unless you're doing paid advertising. And there's different varieties that you can do, firstly. And secondly, people that comment and create community within their pages. So you're starting chats, you're offering information. If Facebook feels like you're trying to sell to an audience, they see that in the algorithm and they don't like to show that to too many people. So it's a very good idea to use social media to help people. And I love the idea that Jessie said, the industry we're in is so creative and so fun. And if we focus back onto that and interact with, go live on your page, even if it feels awkward, and talk to your audience and sort of say to them, hey, this is me, I've missed you guys, that kind of thing. People appreciate it. Authenticity is what is going to get people through. And if you are planning on doing ads, preferably don't just boost ads. Give people a call to action so that you gain something out of it, even if it's just an email address or you're offering them something so that you're drawing them into the salon.
That's a really...
So there's quite a lot of talk around that, and it is a very the biggest growing category was always people in my age group, which is 50s plus, and 65s and that kind of. That's the biggest growing. But they're finding now that in the lockdown, what is growing a lot is between 16 and 24-year-olds, or 16 and 18-year-olds, something like that, which was much less people. But never underestimate what people say, that Facebook isn't valuable. Even though the target markets that you're in might not feel like they're growing, they are huge still. And there's so many people you can reach out there. You just have to know how to harness that nicely. And authenticity is one of the ways that you'll be able to do it. And then you can link your Instagram to your Facebook, even though they need to look a little bit different. Instagram started off as this show-off kind of platform in the beginning, where people were showing their yachts and their Gucci and all that kind of stuff, and has morphed into something else. But from my point of view, I think that, I know Shalene Sher said to me the one day, gone are the days when you would be sitting at a dinner party and someone would say, gosh, I love your hairstyle. Who does your hair? And, they would have to look up the phone number or write down the phone number and give them the salons, or they'd go and look up the salon's name and number in the phone book. What people will do is now they'll pick up their phone at the dinner table and they will go straight to your Instagram page because you want to see what other work that is. So that is like your business card. Unbelievable. So there's lots of different things you can do in Instagram on its own.
We can substitute Zoom meeting for dinner party at this point. even though we all lacking a hairdresser, and that's also how the world is going, and people's online images are being critiqued, and there's a need for grooming and for hair. So now's the time to be loud in a good way, and don't go quiet. And I'm seeing a shift on social media, and I'm seeing some of the people who used to post the most about hair and just be the most fabulous have gone a bit quiet. And it's understandable because we're in times, but now is the time to be loud, because you don't know what that encouragement and that beauty, a little dose of advice, positivity, help, questions, interaction is doing to people who are also feeling negative and feeling stuck and feeling frustrated and feeling as if there's no hope in sight. And we're all feeling the same, but someone has to start the ball of positivity rolling. And if you can do it for your clientele and your followers, you're going to find that you reap immense rewards down the line. So that's just something that is important to keep in mind every single time you pick up your phone or your keyboard and you plan on posting or even commenting on social media.
It's easy to get sucked into that. I've done that, and I'm a sucker for conspiracy theories, unfortunately. But I do like the entertainment of it.
Okay, there you go. So we've had one confession here.
Yes.
So but just put a few things here. This is just a fun. I mean, there's so many wonderful people posting on Facebook. I couldn't grab them all. I just grabbed the first few that I found. But these are just so lovely because they're all so different, and they all show how people are coping and creating that positivity. You can see there's everything from personal to views to the day's agenda to people who are planning on offering extra services to their clients and how to go about it, to people who are getting qualified in hygiene. And obviously, Mother's Day was a bit different this year, but there was still the promos. So if you just take a look at these quickly, and I'll just keep this slide. We've got three slides like this, and they're all a little bit different, but they're all fun, and they're all something that if you were a client and your eyes fell on this, you would feel happy and excited and interested and engaged. You wouldn't feel negative and depressed and as if the world was suddenly just a little bit of a tough place. So here's some more lovely things. There's a sharing color techniques, and old Terry Scott doing his thing with his mask on, and people encouraging for positivity and unison within the industry. And then we've even got someone sharing our webinar, which I thought I'd put in as a joke. Thank you, Natasha. and a lovely thing from DNA Salon on hope. And yeah, I'll put another one of Terry Scott there, just because he's one of the ones who hasn't gone quiet. He's been louder than ever, and I can absolutely guarantee it's working in his favor right now. And then just a few, this is the last slide of these. They're so much fun. David Gilson always, I think his clients kind of really enjoy following his life. He's quite an aspirational hairdresser, and so he posts a lot of food, a lot of fun, a lot of clothing, a lot of other things, and his clients love him for that. And you never ever see him posting anything negative. Then a reminder about products and vouchers. It's always good to see, being really proactive. David Robbins, who's going to be in Hairnews tomorrow with a fantastic new concept, is talking about other things he's been doing during lockdown. We got people helping clients. We got people looking at their beautiful salons, and we got Shalene interacting with her clients. So those are just a few, and there's so many more, but there's just a few of the first ones that struck me, so I screenshotted them and put them.
Very nice.
Moving on now. Formulate your strategy, because really now in this time is the time when not only are you going to become just such a valuable person for your existing clients, but you have to think about attracting potential clients and how you can draw them in and find people who like your vibe and who will follow you and come to you after lockdown because of the message that you're sending out. And let's talk a little bit about that, Ursula. What are the biggest do's in that?
Well, yes, one of the things, well, you've said, like, obviously, is the positivity. And I think one of the most important things is for people to also understand that the times that we live in with technology as it is, there might be some concepts and changes the way things are. We might do things totally different to like we never did before. Things that would have been scoffed at a year ago as concepts of how the future is going to look might be something that's going to be, that's an option now. Now we should be moving in that sort of a direction. So I think anything to do with technology and communicating with people, and find out who, like we spoke about earlier, find out who you're talking to. And if you're not sure, you can ask your clients. If you don't have a database of people on email, and you only have, say, cell phone numbers, maybe you could even SMS all your clients if that's the way, or WhatsApp them if that's the way that you're communicating, and even ask them some questions and ask them, would you provide me with your email address? I'd love to send you some specials and let you know when we're opening, and we can make a booking. So, all those kind of positive sort of vibes on getting them in there. We used to speak a lot about client retention being maybe more important than gaining new clients. But we might be looking at both at the moment. So I 100% agree. Understand who it is you're trying to attract. And if you're not sure, it's usually something about who you are and the kind of person and what you feel and what your vibe is, and how your image and your salon image is, that those would be the kind of people.
Exactly. So having a strategy in place will mean that you're now posting strategically, and you're thinking before you're posting, and you're thinking before you're commenting, and you're upholding the vibe in your own mind that in turn is going to help you appeal to people who are looking for that and craving that and wanting that in their lives. And going forward, I think one of such an important role at the moment is for hairstylists to be problem solvers. And clients' needs, and I'm speaking as a client here, clients' needs are really changing daily and weekly as we continue through this stress. That can indicate different needs from your side as a stylist in what you can provide. So, for example, I'll just touch on one here, which is the home delivery of professional custom mixed color. And when that first started, there were definitely two camps. There were people who were violently against it, and there were people who were just crazily for it. And literally week by week, more and more people have changed their minds and have come around to the fact that this is a good idea. It's really helping clients, it's fulfilling a need, it's making them happy, and it's keeping them away from the box color. But now, what do you do if you were one of the ones posting you'd never do it and now you've changed your mind? If you are one of those people, then simply explain why. Because as soon as people have a proper explanation and can understand your thinking, they will buy into why you're doing what you're doing. So if you have posted against something and then you've changed your mind and you've done a 180 and you're now for it, then just write a post and explain why you're doing this. Share your thinking. Share the steps of logic that have led you to a new decision in what you're providing.
Yes. And time has stretched much further than we ever thought it would do. So, it is something to consider, most definitely.
And educate, and make people aware of what's out there that can help them. We're hearing about a lot of people, both illness and stress cause hair loss, and that could be a problem for clients that they're not even aware of as yet. Quiz your clients, ask them, offer one-to-ones, talk about their hair, find out what they're experiencing, if they've noticed anything that they're battling with, and then see what solutions are in your toolbox to offer at this time? And I know that the toolbox is a limited place at this time, but there are still tools in it, and those are very powerful tools, and don't be scared to recommend them. But now we're going to quickly talk about the don'ts. And Ursula, if you take a look at this slide, what is your take on the don'ts, the absolutely must never do's?
On your social media, you know, there's a lot of debates, just my mind going straight to Instagram, where should you post some of your private stuff about you, or should you just keep it about your brand and your salon? And I really think that depends on who you are. A lot of people, they are part of their brand, and if the photographs and things that they're using kind of reflects the same image, like we were saying, you're attracting your own vibe. So if you photograph that properly and you know how to do that, and listen, people, what they worry about a lot is how they're taking photographs, that kind of thing. Your cell phone is perfectly fine. You don't need to go and buy a fancy camera. You might need some kind of lighting. Ring lights aren't expensive, but don't worry about that. And the don'ts, I really do agree that posting very negative things and anything that's kind of political or definitely racist or anything like that is definitely a no-no. And I think a photograph that just of hair that is badly photographed doesn't really do justice. So if you do a before photo and the lighting's good and the background is quite light and they're not sitting in a chair and you can see like a dirty tissue in the corner, and then you take your after photo, it's all about the lighting and the angle. The people don't have to show their face. As you've seen, and you know Thelma de Klerk, she's so good at doing that. You know, you can take photos where people don't have to show their face because they don't want to. But your lighting and your background is everything. That is something that I would work on now if I was a stylist, because when you go back to work, try to make a space in your salon where you have a ring light, where you have a nice background, even if you need to go and buy some fabric from somewhere or go to Builders and get some wallpaper. That's what I always tell people, as a great background, because that'll say a lot about you. If you open up your Instagram and your Facebook page and you see these photographs that just stand out, you don't even really need a lot of words to express who you are. But if you put something that's got like a really thick red background, and you can just about see the color and you can see a lot more of the chair and it's not close up, it doesn't really do a lot for your work. And I think you're doing yourself a disservice if you don't learn how to take good photographs. I think that's everything, because your work is your best advert.
It's so important. Then just a few basic do's and don'ts, and I've seen people falling into these pitfalls, and I've tried to guide them out of it. I know at this stage there is talk of some people that are providing services during lockdown. You know, I can't comment on this at all, but what I can say is, whatever you're doing, for goodness sake, don't mention one word of it anywhere on social media. Do not
100%
advertise it. Do not mention it. Do not talk about it. Do not send WhatsApps to your clients saying that you're now available for home hairdressing, because you never know how those comments or those posts are going to be taken, and who is a stickler for the rules and will suddenly lose their sense of humor completely and report you. So all I'm saying is your social media platform needs to be very, very carefully monitored. Anything like that in. Don't announce anything against the law. Be aware of your language. Like, just one example, anything with the words so-called is never going to be a nice post. Never. There's no way anything is going to turn out good once you've used those words. So always just be aware of the words and the power of them and the effect that they have. And now, our social media positivity challenge, and this is so exciting. We have got...
Is this where before we get on to that, is it okay if I just mention the membership that I'm opening up?
Let's do
if people want to learn.
Because now it's on the page, and then we'll do the membership.
Okay. Great.
got a brand new limited edition Votary Demi Styler gift set, which we are giving away to one person who takes part in our activity challenge. And here is how to enter. We need people to register for this. You register by emailing blinda@hairnews.co.za and include your social media links by the latest Monday, 18th of May. Then you flood your feed with positive ideas, suggestions, client engagement, everything about create a positive swirl of information that is helpful and uplifting and hopefully also brings you in additional revenue and allows you to help your clients better. Then the competition will close on the 1st of June and the winner will be named. And our guru Ursula will be one of the judges, and we will also ask an additional celebrity judge just to take a look from a client's perspective, because that's also very, very important. So that is our positivity challenge. This is how you enter. It's very easy. I decided not to do any hashtags because the most important hashtags for you at this time are your salon and your business. So just let Belinda know you're doing it and taking part and send her the links, and we will then look and keep track. And it's open to anyone. You don't have to have attended this webinar to enter, but of course if you have, then you've got all the inside info. It will hopefully help you, give you the edge. So now, Ursula, please let's talk about your...
Yes, thank you. So yes, I've been very passionate about teaching the industry what the bits that I do know, and there's always people who know more, and you can find so much online, but because I'm passionate about this industry, and that's never going to go away, I really want to help us. I do see it as an us, and have shared quite a lot over a while now on some of my groups and things of what to do in social media and tips and helping out and that kind of thing. So one of my other groups, which is Learn Social Media Marketing for Hair and Beauty, there I've shared more recently actually a video that I created on how to do vouchers and what to say in your vouchers and how to redeem them, that kind of thing. You know, that was very big talk within the first, I think by week 3 kind of thing, week 2 and 3, when we thought we were opening in sometime middle of April. But don't stop doing vouchers or anything like that. I mean, if you feel like it's something that can work for you, then I would say go on. But I'll share that video also on my website. So the website is saloncentral.co.za. And one of the things that I've wanted to do is, or what I have done, is a membership subscription, like belonging to a club. So if you sign up on this every month, you will be able to have access to videos about everything we've spoken about. How do I do certain things on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, as much information as possible, and access to ask anything that you want to, and phone or WhatsApp and ask, so that we can all learn and grow as much as we can. So that subscription is going to be on a lockdown special price of 60 Rand a month, which I think is very affordable for anybody at the moment. And no matter what business you're going to be in, if you got some side hustle or whatever it is you're doing, you will still use those tools and those techniques going ahead into anything that you're going to be doing in the future. So I'd really love it if people could sign up, and then I'll be able to release videos to you, and you can ask me any questions. The first video there will be about the vouchers, because I've got that one ready. Yeah, and then we can take it from there. I'm also open to doing one-on-one consultations, which I'll also load onto the website, a little bit of info on that. So I was starting to do one-on-one consultations, funnily enough, via WhatsApp video before the lockdown. And I think people thought it was an odd thing, but a couple of weeks later, it turns out to be the norm. So thank you, JC.
So there you go. That's going to be able to give you a huge edge, both now and going forward. There's nothing like being able to pick an expert's brains one-on-one. That's so hugely helpful. I've noticed that we've had a few people raising their hands through our webinar. So if we've all had a final look at this page, I'm just going to stop the share for a moment. We're going to go back to our original screen, and I'm just going to ask if anybody can please raise their hand now if they would like to speak. We've got Prudence November. Prudence, would you? I'm going to put you on to talk. Would you like to tell us what you want to ask? I'm just so sorry. Let me unmute you. That'll help. Unmute audio. Okay, for some reason it's unmute. There we go. I'm trying to unmute you. It's just not working. Okay, Prudence, I think you might be muted on your side. Do you want to try and unmute yourself? Okay. Unfortunately, we can't hear Prudence, but we've also had a question. Prudence, if you want to type your question into the chat box, we'll answer it. We've also had a question from Haley. So Haley, I'm going to unmute you and try also to unmute yourself. And let's see if we can get Haley up. I don't know why this is not really really working. It's like I'm unmuting people, but they're staying muted. This is just terrible.
Staying muted.
Okay, unfortunately, we can't get people to speak. I really don't know why, because the unmute should work, but it's not working this time. But if you can please just type your question into the text box, then we will answer it immediately. Let me just try, hang on, I'm going to try this. I'm going to promote you to panelists, and let's see if that will work. No, nothing is working. Sorry, guys. I really don't understand that. It usually does work, but not this time, of course. But so I'm just going to quickly go back through the chat that we've had so far and see if there are any questions that we can quickly answer now.
And if maybe people can just write them more in the comments now, and after the show we can respond there as well.
Yes, please write your questions in the comments now, or alternatively, you can email the same email, Belinda@Hairnews, and we will answer them. We had a question, I think it's about when salons are opening. The answer is nobody knows. No one knows when they're opening. At the moment, the government originally put salons onto a level 1 level for opening. However, the ERHCB has been in non-stop negotiations with government. What they've been doing is they've been, first of all, asking for reasons why hairdressing was put into level 1, because unless you know the reasons, you cannot address the reasons. When the reasons are provided, they will do their best to address them and to sort of allay the concerns that government had. They're also busy creating a video, which they were actually doing yesterday and today, to show how safety can be properly implemented in a salon. And then they're going to be presenting this to government as well. And so we have to hope that with that engagement and with government being better able to understand how the industry can be properly hygienic and operate, that the level gets brought forward, and that at least, you know, even if it's under very controlled conditions, at least some hairdressing is able to be done. So that's really, unfortunately, there's no time limit. In my opinion, looking at the way the levels are going, it might be that the out-of-town levels get lifted higher first, and so you might see that it's the people in the big cities who have to be patient just a little longer. And we've got a comment here from Leslie Lowe to say that being kept very busy with education, that retail will be seen in a new light and the benefits of professional brands. I think this is so true. And I hope
I think that's fantastic.
I hope it creates a big step forward for professional brands.
Yeah, exactly. And that's one of the things I say, how the things that would have been unthinkable in the past will suddenly become the norm, because that's what happens when there's a crisis.
And we've got Beth warning, screenshots live forever. So be aware when you post something, always think first. If you're in a temper, go away and have a cup of coffee. If you think it might not be appropriate, maybe just don't do it at this time when people are a little too sensitive. Social media includes not only your professional page, but your personal page. Brands and clients look at your online image. And that's so true. That's from Natasha. A very, very true comment, very important. Everything you put on must just all really be about achieving the same goal.
Just another point about privacy and stuff. One of the things that I think people forget is when you download some of these apps, whether it be Facebook, I know Facebook Messenger, when you downloaded that, you gave permission to Facebook to switch your microphone on, which means they can hear everything and that everybody says. And that is how you'll be having a conversation with somebody somewhere, and then get into your office, switch on your laptop, and there will be an advert for that exact thing. And that's how they use their algorithms and things. So even on chatting on WhatsApp, and WhatsApp is linked to Facebook and Instagram, it's all owned by Mark Zuckerberg. So he's got all the information on everybody. If you want to do something very, very private, you can try a platform called Telegram. I believe that disappears after a short while, but even not careful what you say offline as well.
Exactly. So important. And that actually brings us to our very last slide, which is that one. Talking of Mark Zuckerberg, I put his face on just so that we can all remember. He is the technology guru, and you have to be very careful that Big Brother is not watching you, but you can also take advantage of the latest technology and innovations in social media by keeping up to date. And that's really where learning is important, and where the people who are keeping their finger on the pulse, such as Ursula, can be of huge, huge value during this time.
Thank you, Jessie, very much.
Thank you so much. I'm really sorry that the audio didn't work, and please send your questions to blinda@hairnews.co.za. We will now wrap up our webinar. Thank you so much for attending, and I hope you have found it helpful and enlightening, and I hope that you will participate in our challenge, and hopefully you will be able to win something lovely if you show your positivity. So let's just stop the share there, and we've got a few thank yous coming through, which is very nice. Thank you so much for attending. Thank you for your
thank you, everybody. That's wonderful. Thank you.
Webinar, and please stay in touch with the competition. Get in touch with Ursula, and let's just make sure that now at this very important time, social media is done right, and that the knowledge is kept at the absolute top.